Good day, everyone. Today, I am going to do some cleanup. I've already started. So if you look at the project right now, I have made a few changes. So we go into the source. You can see that we are having a Windows folder, um, game folder, and Emscripten folder, and then out here we have the main and all of the like shared functions that that I don't really want to pollute the game code with, because they rely on things maybe from Windows or Emscripten or something like that. So that is done already. Also, what I've done is I've added this warnings. So right now, if I'm trying to compile, it's going to tell me that there's a bunch of errors. The errors, most of these are actually warnings, so they're not errors. But because I'm having a warning error on, this makes a warning into an error. I think that was the one at least. Let's double check before I get caught out with a lie. Yeah, W error is a compiler flag that causes all compiler warnings to be treated as errors. So we are having all warnings and extra warnings, and then we're making them into errors. So we cannot compile until all the warnings are dealt with. And then I can disable individual warnings that I really don't care about. So for example, here, no missing braces. Missing braces is for things like this, where if there would be multiple things inside, if there's a substructure within here, then I can just like sort of cast it without having extra braces. I don't know if this is a great example. Yeah, here, missing field. No, that's another one. Which one was this one again? Yeah, here. So rather than, this is just a straight something plus something else. And the compiler likes to have it like that. But that's just annoying to type, and it doesn't make the code any clearer, in my opinion. And if there is a situation where it would make it more clear, then I could just add it anyway. So that's a warning that I have removed. The next warning I'm going to remove is this one, missing field initializers. So here, this shader uniform is actually having more things to initialize. So the compiler, if you're having warnings with extra or something like that, it wants all of the members to have an explicit value set. But if we do nothing, if we don't give it that, then it's initialized to 0 by default. And that's something that I like to rely on. We can just copy paste this thing and add no. And then we just go warning by warning and decide what we like and what we don't like. Unused variable. Huh? Something is going on. Oh, so where were we? Jumping to this line. No matching result. What are you talking about? Build. Why is it? Why is this part of the same line? What is this a bug in VS Code? What is this? Love from, is that Libya? No. Which one is this? Morocco? No. I'm usually pretty good at flags. I don't know this one. Algeria. I was close with Tunisia. Morocco and Tunisia, I said, and then it was right in the middle. Oh well. Anyway, where was I? Apparently, this is a bug because I literally did nothing except make this larger, and then now it understands that this is on its own separate line rather than here. Let's address that because I don't want that to ever happen. Like, that's stupid. So we're having build starts. We're echoing this. Can I echo a new line? What echo new line? Okay, never mind. This is not this is not important right now. We are having some warning here or an error, unused variable. Now that is interesting. Why is this unused? So it is unused. I should be tracking it. So I should have, this should be stored somewhere on the state, like my default texture, rather than just be, because right now what I'm doing is I'm accessing the 0th texture and just relying on this being created first. But this is unused because it's never used in this context or in this, what do you call it? This scope. So we should probably, in the graphics, oh wait, it's now in game. Here, let's just make a texture default. Or like that. And then whenever we are accessing that, so that would also be in the game. Are we getting the 0th texture? Let's go. It might be in group actually. So the only place I'm really using this right now, or using that texture, is for a quad. And that quad happens to be this UI button. Here is where it is, right? Texture fetch takes indexes. But the actual, this here is actually pointers. Graphics.default text. Like that. So we're having only one texture. It's the default. It's the default texture. All good. Next warning: unusable variable, unused variable text. This is also. It's just a second one. Default text. So this is like the alt default. This is actually unused. Like I'm not using this anywhere right now, I think. So token index is unused. I think maybe we are removing it then. Because this function is not altering the data at all. It's just looking up in the tokens, looking for this object token, but it's unused. So language token. I think I was using this for making sure that it was actually accurate. Now I should say, if I would compile this with optimizations, all these things would be removed anyway. So I'm just, I like to have warnings on as errors just to try to keep the code in a like higher quality state, so to say. Now these are incompatible. I think I changed the definition of this from state and mesh to just mesh. Does this one not have forward declaration? OpenGL, that would be graphics. This is an I32. There's also some implicit casting that happens a lot. Unused parameter state. Hmm? Undeclared function. So why would that be undeclared? Anything that takes size of needs to be cast to I32 most of the time. At least with the warnings on. Otherwise, it's just casting it automatically. But what about this one? This is calling global assert. In game header. Or no, in definitions. Where is this? This is also definitions. 113 and 130. So okay, I see what's going on. This components didn't have the use game macros. That's why. Now I'm thinking if I should change this somehow, but that seems like the best way. Too many arguments in here. different. Yeah. Just cast it to I32. Otherwise, I think it's like a unsigned 64. Shader. What? Unused shader? Uh-huh. This is sort of my round. This is an enum. I guess it can be 0. So here's the thing. I want the compiler to warn me when parameters are unused. But sometimes there are situations where I'm just debugging something. So this is my way around it. I'm just putting asserts that they exist. So now the compiler is not complaining, but also they are not used for anything specific. You could have if statements here also over and over. Would be it would do the same thing. Group print. Yeah, it doesn't take this. It doesn't take us or doesn't use the state, but never mind. I don't think I'm even using that function anymore. The data is unused. Here, I do want it to be unused. And I could assert that data is equal null pointer. That would maybe make sense. Because I'm not using this for anything, but the, how do you call it? The signature of the function needs to be like this for everything to work. Color is unused. So I'm assuming that we are having a color. Popcorn. Am I really not using the data there? This is all like kind of up to, start game is obviously not going to be just like create player. That's for later. So this is just, to make the compiler happy. Not really important what we put there. Start button is unused. True. We don't really need to track it. And I don't really have a good place to put it anyway. So I guess we can just ignore it. Delta T is ignored. Yes. So right now, the speed of the game is purely based on the frame rate. So we should do something about that. So that means it basically means that all of these functions, they need to potentially know the delta time. I probably don't want to put it into the parameters. It should just be somewhere in the state. So like this game update function, it is called from the window function. That depends on Windows. It would be this window C. Or no, it's just update. Is this a main function? Ah. Well, the question would be if I put it into the state somewhere, or if I would put it here as a parameter. If I remove it, then of course this becomes unused. But we go state physics. So we just store it there instead, and then any function that wants to read it, they can just read it from the state that they have by default. This header game update F64, huh? Oops. So let's see. We're getting much fewer errors. Another I32. Did I not say? And now we are back to being to run it. And there we go. Cool. So one more, the last thing I wanted to like clean up here is that I am having my group struct and file. And I want to rename this to to a prefab. And the reason I want to call it a prefab is because group doesn't really mean anything, but a prefab is pretty well known as a collection of things with a certain set of characteristics, parameters, values, things like this. So that's basically what I feel like this is. So I'm having like a group of entities with a certain mesh and configuration in terms of components, and that gives me the player or the enemy or the asteroid or whatever else, the button. So this would be a prefab. So I'm just basically just taking group and replacing it with prefab. Bop, 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 boop, boop, boop. Prefab create. Cool. Now it's kind of freaking out because it doesn't know what prefab is. I just created it. We will get there. Prefab H. Oh. We have to make sure that we're only targeting the capitalized ones. Prefab. Do. Yeah, we have a bunch of errors right now. So yeah. Mbitcoder, which library compiler debugger do I use? Well, I am using Clangd, and I think, well, of course it's bugged out. Hello. This is my compiler. So you can see Clang version 20.1. It's probably outdated by now, but not by much. I downloaded it maybe a year ago. Then, well, it didn't crash. The VS Code didn't crash. I just closed it because sometimes the terminal output is just not working. So, So yeah, here is my compiler. You can just download that and use it on Linux, on Windows. You can even use it on your phone, actually. So if you want to develop on a tablet or even your Android phone, then go ahead. What was the next thing? The library. Well, I'm not really using any libraries in that sense. I'm using the standard library, I guess, for some very, very basic things like opening files, manipulating strings, and that's kind of it. And then I have also a list of dependencies. So I have glue for Windows, and this is just it's not a library on its own. It's just a way to easily access the OpenGL functions on a Windows PC. But there's nothing about it that it doesn't really do anything in terms of functionality. The functionality is already on the Windows PC. Then we have handmade math, simply because I'm too lazy to write my own matrix multiplication functions. So you see, it's just very, very simple. Result left / dividend. And then they also use some SSE or, you know, vector extenders. So that's what I'm using. And then I'm using this for text shape. I'm using this for rasterizing my font file. And this is my own. This is all my own code. So, you know, I'm having a sorting algorithm. This is just a wrapper around standard libraries because, you know, sometimes they are different. Like here, I'm having a file open, but on Windows, they want you to use file open S, and it has different inputs. So I'm just having a small wrapper here. Also, because maybe in the future I would like to write my own replacements for that, but you know, I'm not really sure. Win32 API library. So I am using on Windows. I am using Win32 simply because you have to. So I'm using the Windows window API. So, you know, I have my window callback here, and I'm using their enums. And then sometimes I'm having, you know, well, this is just like do the default thing on Windows. Yeah, all of this is just setting up the window with the right size and everything, how the window should look like, if you can resize it or not. And there's also a little bit of Windows code in the OpenGL implementation. So here, there's some, maybe up here. Yeah, in graphics in it for Windows, this is Windows code. Like choose pixel format, set pixel format, create context. Simply because that's the implementation on Windows for OpenGL. Yeah, otherwise I'm using like the minimal stuff that I can really. Complicated? Yeah, you could say. But just like with anything complicated, you take it step by step. You start with opening a window and then you draw something and then, you know, you take it from there. And opening a window, like it's so many people have tried opening a window on Windows, and I wouldn't say that it's easy, but this is just like a big config. It's just one class, and then you set the stuff that you want on the window, and then you register that, and then you call, then you set the size of the window, and then you like open the window, create window X, and these are all settings for the window. Like that's it. It looks like a very complicated thing, but you know, when you just go it one parameter by one, it's actually pretty easy. How much do I recommend SDL3? Well, I didn't pick SDL3 simply because I didn't want to target it's this meme, right? From XQCD. Probably you've seen this. This is like one of the most famous XQCDs ever. So like we are in a situation where we are having multiple things. So we are having Android phones, we have Apple phones, we have Windows computers, we have Apple computers, we have Linux computers, we have Firefox browsers and Chrome browsers, you know, and all these kinds of things. You have also, you know, game consoles and things like that. And then someone is like, hey, this is kind of ridiculous how many things there are. We should make something that everyone can use. And then you have just another thing that you need to support. So I would say if you want to compile code for multiple systems and you don't really care about the implementation, then I would say probably SDL3 is a good choice. But you're sort of learning this virtual environment that doesn't really exist. So you are developing, or you're learning how to develop for SDL3. You're not learning how to develop for Linux. So, the problem with that is just like the engine case. If you are learning Unreal, well, if Epic decides to stop making their engine free, or they go bankrupt or something, and then that engine stops existing, then you have just spent years learning Unreal and you have no idea how to do anything differently, and then you have to like relearn. Now it is easier to learn another engine if you have already learned one before, but I am of the opinion that I like more being able to be control of my code. And if I'm learning how to write an application for Windows 7, then it's much, much easier for me to then learn how to write an application for Windows 10, Windows 11. 99% of the code is going to be identical anyway. And what I'm doing now, I am targeting browsers and personal computers, so like Windows and Linux. And in one way, it's more complicated. And even I am taking a shortcut because I am not interested in the exact implementation on the browser. I am still using Emscripten, which is doing the translation for browser for me. But so the code is shared between my code is not different. Emscripten is converting my code for the browser case. So that's still a shortcut that I'm taking because I'm not interested in learning JavaScript and the peculiarities with running in the browser and how do I, map the printing function from one thing to the next, or input or sound or anything like that. I care about writing code that is reusable and easy to maintain. So that's what I'm doing. And I have realized, at least so far, my opinion could always change, but I have realized so far that if I have this like Win32 window function, this entire thing, it's like it will expand, of course, in the future, but this is like 500 to 1,000 lines of code max, and that's 1,000 lines of code. It's 1,000 lines of code that I wrote, that I understand, and it will only have minor changes in the future because Windows is not changing that much. Windows is obsessed with back compatibility. So they're not going to change anything of that. So I think that it's easier to write 1,000 lines of code that you understand than it is to learn an entire ecosystem of SDL3 that is not really transferable to any other system, because you are learning SDL3 and then, you are hoping that it's working, it's bug free, but you don't really know any of the implementation. If I have a problem with any of this code, I can just change it. And it's probably 5 lines of code and I understand it, I wrote it. And that's how it works anyway. So when you're using SDL3, you have the same settings that I'm having here, where I have to set my Windows style and should the inputs be read from the mouse in this way or the other way. And the only difference is that they are doing the cross-platform code for you. So they are having their virtual mouse settings, but you're doing exactly the same thing. So maybe it's worth it for you to have that, to write that once for SDL3 rather than writing it twice or 3 times for Linux, Mac, Windows. But I think that this is such a simple case that I am completely fine writing it once and writing it 3 times, basically. Learning a language like C or C++ is more logic as choosing SDL or other libs. Well, I just feel like the limitation here is not the complexity of the code or the maintainability of the code. It's purely a case of, do you know what you're doing? Like, how much time do you have to spend to write an implementation yourself compared to learning a different ecosystem? So like, there is no SDL console. There's no SDL computer. It's a virtual thing that someone made as a model for you to target. And that's fine if it's easy to use and you like it and it helps you to make programs cross compilation. That's a perfectly valid use case. I just prefer, like, in this case, it's so little code that it's just easier for me to not spend time learning SDL. It's easier for me to just literally write the Windows code and hopefully also the Linux code later. Hey, HaruDev, thank you for the raid. How is development going? Well, today I am just doing some cleanup. So I realized, and this was a little bit funny to me, because before I was writing C++ code, and I had my set of ignored warnings. But now, this is a C project, so I forget to put my warnings on all extra and warning error. So then I just have a bunch of errors that I'm cleaning up. And I noticed that some people don't like it. I think it's very useful because it also makes me go through my old code and see how it's like, remember how it's working, and like realize something that I was just throwing out there as an idea and I never developed, so I can delete it or I can make this choice. You rated me as 20 years ago. You wrote a few games in C, or well, 30 years. Okay, cool. I started learning C. Well, I started learning C++ maybe 6 years ago, but I never liked the most advanced C++ I got to was like maybe 2000s ish, somewhere in there. And I didn't really like any of the like really complicated inheritance stuff, or I think it's kind of a messy language, honestly. And apparently the Strostrup, what is his name again? Bjarne Strostrup. He kind of agrees, because he has an interview where he says that, like, okay, within all of the complexity of the C++ language, there is something like very useful and beautiful, he thinks, that is like the true thing that you should be using. But then you have all the fluff on top that is available if anyone wants to use it. And I was learning different things and I realized I am not really using it. I don't really like it. I think it just kind of complicates things. And I like scaled it down more and more and more until it was basically just C. And then I just tried, okay, I want to try make a program in C entirely. And that's where I am right now. And this is my first full C project that I started about 3 months ago. You think you saw the interview? Yeah. It's very famous. It's like on this like Think Big, or, Big Thinkers. I forget what it is. No, for rendering. Everyone is asking the same questions. It's funny. No, I'm not using any real libraries. I'm using OpenGL. I'm writing my own Windows implementation for Window and inputs and things like this. I am just pretty pure to the system. So I have my dependencies. I have glue just for OpenGL on Windows. I'm using Emscripten for generating the WASM and all of the bindings in JavaScript. So I can just keep my code in C. And then I have this, which is like nothing. Time to do a FAQ. I do have a FAQ though, although I think I don't have one on. I don't think I have one on Twitch. I was trying to add these things underneath the stream, these cards. I couldn't figure out how to do it. So anyway, I am in the middle of doing a rename. So before I forget what I was doing, let's fix that. So I have my group here. I renamed it to prefab. This is a small p, by the way. So now we can just like follow the errors. So this one doesn't know what group is. That's because it's prefab now. And then it says that it's not directly used, but it is used. It's just not called group. Now this is pretty light casual programming because I don't really have to think. I just have to follow the compiler. Did the first one here, groups. And then this G, PF. Oh, wait. No, it shouldn't be too much. Unknown type name. Yup. All right, enjoy your dinner. I appreciate the lurk. So when we are done with the cleanup, I'm thinking that we are adding some physics and then possibly even some enemies. So the state doesn't have prefab type definition. I have also been thinking that eventually I'm going to get to another abstraction, or like compiled. How do you say it? Like a different sort of assembly structure system, where I think I want to add a scene struct. And the scene is going to be, on or off for rendering or something like that. So it wouldn't be just one scene active at all times. I would have one scene which would be the UI. So it would have, limited number of entities for buttons or things like this, values that are being displayed, and user interface stuff, typical stuff. And then you have another scene, which is a location in the world, like a map almost. And I want to put these maps next to each other so that you can like travel around them freely. Or at least maybe there will be even one, I'm not sure. But at least that you can have multiple active at the same time. I don't know. We will get to that, but I think I am thinking about how to advance later. So this is prefab. Oops. All right. Looks like we are back in business. Oh, and for whoever Ambit coder, this is my debugger. So you can find it on itch.io. This is my debugger. I bought it 5 years ago. I think it's the same price still. Yeah, $30. And as you can see, I've had free updates since 5 years, and he has been continuously updating it. Updated 35 days ago, so it's pretty cool. What people are also recommending, it's called the uh, the red debugger. Here we go. So this is developed by Epic Games, but it's free to use, and people say it's very good. So this is also something, if you don't want to pay $30 for this, and I would still recommend you like try it out if you can. This one is the next thing that I'm waiting for this to be released for Linux, and then I would like to try it. But apparently you can even now use it with some there's some programs to like kind of run Windows programs on Linux. So apparently it still kind of works like that. But yeah, just to shout out those two projects. So everything is working, it seems like, but as you can see, there's no momentum, there's no velocity. It's just kind of going as fast as the frame rate tells it. And the reason for that is because I didn't really add any physics when I added the character. So that would be player. Right. So we're having a add position here component. Let me close everything actually. We have game, component, and entity. Those are the important ones right now. So position is a component, and the component is here. You can see it, entity pause. I want to add, well, for example, I want to add v3. Actually, the first thing that I would like to change probably is, so I want to change to quaternions. So maybe I should just do that first, because quaternions, they don't scare me, but I don't have any intuitive sense for them. I have done some quaternion math in the past, but I have forgotten most of it. As is typical with math, you know, if you don't use it, you lose it. So maybe let's try starting with making the rotation a quaternion. And if I just compile it now, yeah, the Q4, it's still a bunch of floats. X, Y, Z, V3 here with one extra float. So I think that would literally work, but only because it's using the quaternions as a V3. But that would be wrong, basically. A quaternion with 0 in rotation, it doesn't look like 0, 0, 0. I don't think so. So I need some handmade quaternion operations. So I have to check how this is working. So I can define the quaternion with this function. I can give it a vector. I can probably give it a vector 3 as well with rotations. Add quaternion. Subtract, multiply. Then multiply with float. Okay. I forget what all these operations are doing. Dot. they're not really, you know, okay, lerp is self-explanatory, I think. It's lerping between two quaternions over some time. And this time is actually not seconds. It's like, this is like a percentage. Mix queue. Is that the only lerp? No, we have slurp also. So that's good. Q to M4. Q to right-handed. M4 to Q right-handed. So you see, they have made all this research into some like interesting methods, and they're using the vector multiplication. Ah, okay. This is where the link is going to. That's an interesting link. D3CW, whatever. It does not exist. That's a shame, but at least we have this the code. Yeah, then we're about halfway through. So what else do we have? Q from axis angle right-handed. This I'm probably going to be using a lot. So let's open calc. Now you can see that the way I'm using calc here, it's just, I'm just redefining these function calls to my own name so that they follow my convention. Also, I don't have this HMM prefix. Also, like, let's say that I have a different math library for doing something specific that is not here. I can have two math libraries and I can include them both and have one calculation library that I am using in all my code. And, you know, maybe this would not compile on some platform. I doubt it, but like you can imagine that that would happen. Then I could, you know, write my own or something like that and still use all of the same math functions. So it's just how I like to do things. The other alternative would be to change this directly, but then I'm kind of locking myself into a specific version of it. And I also have to rewrite it and maintain it myself. And like, I just don't want to do that. So yeah, this would be a, so you can see here, I'm putting it at the output is at the beginning. So we have Q4 from axis ang right-handed. I think that's a good name actually. And then what are we taking from here? We have the axis and angle. V3 axis. F. Mm-hmm. That looks good. And we're not using left-handed, so we can ignore those. From normative pair. What is this? Or normal pair? A norm pair? I don't know what the norm pair is. I understand that you're having a left and right vector, and that's the pair. I'm assuming they have to be normalized. So they are both length 1. Or maybe they are assumed. I don't know if they're assumed to be or if they have to be normalized before. And then this is left and right. So the quaternion is which direction? Because it's not like a rotation from the left to the right. Vector pair. Norm pair and vec pair. So yeah. I have to look this up. It sounds useful, but I'm not sure what I would be using it for. Rotate vector 3 quaternion. Oh, rotate a vector 3 by a quaternion. Okay. So this I want. And there's no right-handed angle. This is a V3. So we can rotate it by a quaternion that we have. Or we can have this, which is just basic. It's still using quaternions. It's just using it in a different way. I guess we can add this as well. So this is V3, rotate, axis. Did I not already have that? Yeah, it is exactly the same. I already have that. So let's skip that. I want to have the lerp and slurp also. These are just like, I don't know if they will be super useful for me right now. Multiply. They are just, I do have separate defines for those. So I don't know what it means to take one quaternion minus another quaternion. I completely forget. So I could add the function here, but it wouldn't be any use for me for right now. I have to brush up on my math. Yeah, sub and operator. This is C++. I don't think I'm using that at all. I don't think that's executed at all. So yeah, let's just get the slurp and lerp. Hmm? Did I miss it? Spec3. Nlerp. So why is it called nlerp and not just lerp? Normalized linear interpolation. So I guess if you would not normalize it, this thing, then I think I remember now. There's this 3 blue, 1 brown, or 3 quaternion visualizer. So I remember I was playing around with this. Hello? It keeps becoming white whenever I'm dragging it around. Hello? Yeah, there's some something weird is going on. So if I remember correctly, yeah, you see how this circle, no, hello? when you are, how do you control this thing? Yeah. This thing. So if I could just please control it. What is going on? It was doing something before. Anyway, what I'm talking about is that when you are moving it, and there was an animation here. I don't know why it stopped playing. This is how I'm feeling right now. Here we go. Okay. That's how you control it. So you notice that these circles are like becoming huge when you rotate it. So that's why I think you need to normalize it, because the rotation is accurate, but there's like some factor that is very, it's not linear. So I think that's what is going on here. Now I am maybe completely wrong because I forget. I would recommend, I will go through this website once again, the videos and all the animations, because you are, I wish that it would not be moving. Something about moving these makes it, become bigger. So that's, I think that's what is going on. Now you can lerp without doing that technically. So I guess that's why it's called like that. But I don't think there's any real case where you actually want to do that unless you're doing some kind of mathematics specifically. So let's just define Q4 and let's call it endlerp done. I don't know why do they call it time? I'm gonna call it percent. Or percent is fine for now. Hello, third sense. I don't know if I like left and right either. Let's just go with it for now because I want to actually use it before I can make decisions. So this is we can just grab slurp very quickly while we are here. Is the slurp one not normalized? No, we're still normalizing it. Oh well. A bunch of errors. I don't think I should add the right-handed here because I think all of my math is going to be right-handed or left-handed. I'm not going to mix them. So I should just delete that qualifier. So that's another benefit to this system. If I want to keep the math, but I want to, I need to use a different API that requires right-handed, for example, I could just change this right-handed to left-handed, but keep my definition. Yeah, no more right-handed. Okay. So here is where we put our V3 0, and the angle is 0 also. Oh, dot HMM. Yep. Undeclared. Yeah. I also have to wrap these because, C is a wonderful language in that sense. But actually, it's not this. This is not actually C. This is just the preprocessor, but it feels like I'm using C. Remember reference base type int. The F32 is not that. That how I'm using? Yeah, I'm not using the HMM. Cool. So now I'm passing the rotation in there. Now, is this just a null array? I guess we'll find out. I suspect it's not. Add position. Refab H. It also takes a rotation quaternion. Now, even if we fix all of the errors, I suspect it's going to be broken. So we will see if it's 0. If it's not, then I might just create the like 0 initialized somewhere here, so we don't have to call that function all the time. Oops. Right-handed, no more. Let's see how it looks like. Okay. Oh, that actually works. I didn't suspect that. Or I didn't expect it. So let's go to one of those Q3 or Q4 in the game. No, it's just zeros. Okay. So we have our Q4 from axis ang whatever. So actually this is just back to a Q4 like that. Reused in a bunch of places. All right. Now, is it rotating because it's... Is it is it rotating because it's using the floats as vector threes, or is it rotating because it's actually using quaternions? I suspect it's the former. So this M4 rotates, takes an axis. Yeah, this angle, right? But that's not how quaternions work. Game draw. Let's first just make quaternions work. All this rotation stuff shouldn't be here. It should be in, it should just be in the entity itself. what was it called? Axis ang. I think that's the only place it's used. But we are having also M4 or HMM rotate Q quat. Angle axis. So this is where rotating in quaternion world, it's multiplying the quaternions. So I think this is the one, rotate Q4. Because I have a vector and I'm multiplying it by a quaternion, and then I get back a rotated vector. So that's how I remember it. Maybe we just try it. So then I have V3 rotate Q4. Actually, I want to get the rotation matrix out of the quaternion. So maybe there's a HMM rot mat for are these the only functions like that? Q to M4, this is the one. I think this is exactly the one that I want to use. Let's just put that here. I can still call it. I can ignore this for now. So we are just taking the quaternion, which is the E pause rotation. No. And dot MMM HMM. I'm just doing this because I have my own M4, and the M4 has my own definitions for entries and like these are all of the floats and this is the columns, right? And then I'm just having that in here so that I can always, so that the type is not invalid. Because if I do this, it's going to say, oh, this is incompatible. Like, what the hell is an M4? So that's just my solution. I think it's pretty elegant actually, especially when I'm using it like here. So yeah, we are doing that. Who is rotating us? Well, that would be the entity, right? So I think that's here. Z. No. Is it in game? Entity rotate towards mouse, right? So here you can see this is a quaternion, but I'm just setting the Z value manually. So actually I want to see how this looks like because I don't know what happens when we are rotating the Z. It's going to be something crazy, I'm sure. Oh, no, no, no fun to be had. Hold up. I know why this is happening. I know exactly why this is happening. So what did we do? We did Q4 like that. Textured rectangle. I'm gonna do this. I think I know what this is happening. Huh? What's wrong? How is it too many arguments? Huh? Parentheses are required around what? I have to do this, but I do that here. I don't know. Anyway, now I should see my, yeah, I see this thing again. And the reason why is because this is actually not 0. Huh? Yeah. W is 1. And what if I do this instead? Okay. Huh? Why would that? This is all zeros. What? This is all zeros. And this is all zeros. Right. I can. Does anyone know why this is like that? I can do void rot1. How do you mean? Do you mean I don't know. What does this do? Okay. I'm fine with that. But so tell me, because this makes no sense to me at all. I have 2 rotation quaternions. This one, which is 0, 0, 0, 0, and this one, which is 0, 0, 0, 0. They are as 0 as they can be. No. No, this is... Huh? Why am I not seeing the... Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, okay, okay. Because this is the line, but there's actually 4 of them. So I would have to check the columns. Okay. So anyway, the point is this is having something set, or no, this is having everything set to 0, but this is having something set, which is necessary for quaternions, which means that I need to have some sort of, or I would like to have some sort of like 0 quaternion, 0 unit, I forget. It does nothing. Well, okay, fair enough. I didn't know that you could do this. Like it does nothing. So let me just quickly define a Q for null. or not null, like 0. And that would be Q4 where the W equal to 1. I don't know if this makes any difference. I would assume it does something. Yeah, I think I could just set the not this W. It's the E. Which one is it? Oh, these are. Oh, this is basically 0. This is like a rounding error, but this is. That's not a rounding error. That's just a very high value. I'm wondering if it's even part of. Might not be part of the same thing. Oh, wait, what? No, no, no. So I'm confused. I'm having X, Y, Z, and W, and I'm having 4 floats. It's the same. I'm redefining them like E4 and W. But here, my W is 0 and their W is 1. So I think I'm doing something very bad with my struct. One, two, three, 4. That's it. Here's down here is the 1. Oh, that's why this is a union. Stupid. So this was just a copy, and this was yeah. Now it makes sense. So okay, now it will work if I. There you go. Okay. That's what happens sometimes when you're making your own stuff. So yeah, we are having our 0. We can just do dot W. And now, instead of having this rotation specifically, we can use the 0 quaternion, which is not literally 0, but it is having no rotation. And now you can see that this is not rotating at all because it's not running any code. But that will change. Rotate towards mouse. Yeah, so we calculate an angle and we create a quaternion out of that. I can press Control D to select the exact instance of my selection and then edit them all at the same time. So do you mean... Oh, okay. I've been doing something stupid. I've been holding Alt. So I'm selecting here and then I'm holding Alt and then parent, and to be able to see them, I'm doing like that, this, and this, and now I can edit them all. But I didn't know I could do that. That's crazy good. Thank you for that. Where were we? So Q4 from axis angle. Now the axis that we are rotating around, in this case, is constant. And it's this one. But I don't know, like this, I think this is always the case when we're talking about, you know, the direction in towards the screen from the perspective of the mouse. That makes sense. Was it always like this? Oops. Okay, so now we're setting, every time, you see, Clangd is just crashing for no good reason whenever I'm typing that. And this is also very annoying to type. I don't know if there's a way around that. Because I'm already wrapping this in some braces. I can't do that now. Never mind. I'm wondering maybe I should have a V3 towards screen. Now it's right-handed. So I think it's towards the person watching, not outside. But I forget. maybe Y pause, something like this. That makes sense. Oh, so it's rotating on a different axis. So I think I'm actually wrong. I think Z is the depth, not Y. So X positive should be to the right on the camera. Yes. To the right, Y is up, and then Z is towards us because it's right-handed. That makes sense. X pause. Did I not? Oh, I didn't change it. Yes, that works. Beautiful. So now we're rotating with quaternions. Oh, wait. And this is this is our physics loop, basically, like how we are going towards whenever we're clicking. So we have some axis. So again, that pause, because this is the mouse specifically. And actually, we already have this rotation, so we don't need to calculate it again. We can just say vel equals this one. No. V3 rotate Q4. So we are having the velocity and we're having the rotation of that the player is looking at. Hmm? It is a vec3. Oh, typo. So then we are also still moving towards the correct place. And I think that's everything that's using rotation in the game right now. So maybe we add some momentum. Actually, first, instead of just rotating towards it, I would like to slurp towards, or not slurp, and lerp. So we're having the target because I wanted to try the envelope. So we're having the current rotation. Let's say 0.2. And then we have the, no, hold on. The target rotation is this. And then the rotation that we become is something in between. Is it another typo here? Float is not a structure or union. Yeah, so I just forget to that this should not be there. And this should still have braces around. Oh. So now it should be slowly rotating towards the mouse. Yeah, you can see that. Now the problem is that it's moving faster and faster. Oh. Oh, and it's not rotating. It's always using the upwards vector as the target. So it doesn't realize that it can rotate 1 degree here instead of going back the entire way. Even if I'm just moving 1 pixel. So maybe just 0.5. Now it's much more natural looking. It's like chasing the mouse. But then you get that climbing sort of whenever I'm crossing the bottom point. So why is that happening? It should be because of this angle. At this point, I kind of wish I could just print the values. Like I can do this, right? Or actually, it's just print. It points to F or something. 3F maybe. So now it's going to print to the console, but I would like to print it to the. I would like to print it somewhere else. Huh? What is this? Square brackets, curly brackets, or braces, angle brackets, or parentheses. A parentheses. these are smooth parentheses braces. I don't know. You are correct, but you're the worst kind of correct, which is technically correct. What is wrong here? Oh, I don't give it the angle. Right. So it goes from positive a half to negative a half. So I need to handle that crossover somehow, because it shouldn't, like, if I'm twisting it like this, actually, okay. So the target rotation, I should calculate the difference in rotation first, I guess. So I have my current rotation, right? I don't want to go. I don't want to get the angle from this quaternion and then get the difference and then put that there. I'm having my player. I have the mouse position is here, and the player is currently looking here to some point. Now the difference between them is like 0.1 R. So R stands for rotations, because that's my unit is rotations. It's not radians or degrees, but the absolute value of them is like 0.45 and minus 0.45. And because I'm targeting, if it goes from 0.45 to 45, it's trying to do the linear thing, which is just going like this. But I want to modulo it, because I know that I want a difference between this one and this one, which is 0.1. I want a difference in rotation. So I can get the difference in rotation between them. But the difference in rotation is still this. So how do I modulo a quaternion? Mm. So I can get the dot product of the quaternions to get the difference of angle. So I have my targets. I have my current position. So then it's Q, well, target rot equals Q for dot. So I think that I'm adding define B or Q for dot. Dot Q. Now the order here is very important. I'm just guessing here that it's this way. What is the issue? Expected to have one, huh? There's two of them there. I don't know what you're talking about. Too few arguments. Have one. It's showing me literally two. Huh? The quaternion dot product is a float? So the dot product is not a quaternion, it's a float. Which doesn't have an initializer. Okay. What are you talking about? F32 direction. Oh. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Okay. So then we have, no. U4 dot. Aha, I see. I think I see it. And then unused. Okay. So apparently I can, this is the angle difference in my unit, which is rotations. So then if let's try this one. Oh, I can't do that. This is taking left and right. So mm, okay, let's see if this makes any sense. Oh, hmm. Okay. So that is still that did nothing basically. Maybe it's the maybe it's like this, and I think it's actually going to be the other way around. Hey, that actually works. So when I cross the backside, it changes the direction to chase me. Okay. No, that's cool. So what else? Right. So the farther away, here's the thing, right? Right now, it's just it's going slower the closer it is to the target. And it's going faster the farther away from the target it is. But I would rather have a maximum speed that it accelerates up to, and then it decelerates just before it reaches the target. Now it would have to. The problem if you do that is that it has. Maybe it should just. Maybe this is okay, but it can accelerate faster. So, you know, like 0.1. And then it would have a maximum turning rate. So how would I have a maximum turning rate? Either I could calculate this value based on the angle, I guess. Or actually, it should be this direction. In where? Game.c. Let me just print the direction instead. So you can see this is like a percentual value. If I'm like behind it, it's like 0.5. So that's why I really love using rotation rather than radians or degrees, because you get it immediately, like basically like a percentage. And as you can see, if I'm like basically behind it, maybe we will make this rotation way smaller. Yep. Now when I'm like behind it, ah, it's 0. It goes towards 0. I wouldn't expect that. I would expect it to be half. But it makes sense because the dot product, what I remember is you have two vectors like this. And then what you are looking at is the thing that is overlapping, right? So when they are, if they are unit length, so like this, then you're going to have something that is, you know, 0.8 or whatever, right? If they are almost aligned, so we have this one and this one, is going to be like 0.99. And if they are opposites, well, if they are like this, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I almost forget. If you have a vector like this and another vector like here, you might say, well, there's no like overlapping triangle. So that would be 0. But it's actually this. No, I shouldn't try to explain it because I forget. Honestly, I'm sorry. Again, I would go to 3 blue, 1 brown, and look at his vector. He's having a dot product thing. So again, I would recommend going to this guy. He has a website with everything, and you can play around with some something like this, and you can get sort of an intuition for it. But it's been like 10 years plus for me since I last was thinking about it. So I forget, so I shouldn't try to explain. But looking at it, it makes a little bit of sense to me, at least. So then if we are mapping this 0 to 1 linearly, then we can say that the amount that we are turning can't be more than 10% per frame. Or no, not even that. Like, let's say 1% of a frame. That's already quite fast. So I have this. Let's take the direction multiplied. Well, actually, F32 apps. Apps. Apps F. I forget. It's apps F. What's the issue? Wait, is it standard lib, not math? It's defined in C math. So that would be math. Wait. So like this is for C++. I want to have C reference. Fabs. Way to be consistent. Right. So we take the absolutes multiplied by the rotation here. So some rotation. And then we want to rotate faster when we're away from it. Or no, we want to cap the rotation speed. See, there's a couple of ways of doing this. I could take the one inverse, something like that. But then I have an unknown max speed, basically. There's still effectively a max speed here. It's just, well, you also have the momentum, rotation momentum, right? So one issue with this here is that if it's changing the rotation, it just goes like clunk, 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 and that's not realistic. What would be more realistic is if it would have a rotation speed, and this rotation speed would have an acceleration. So when I cross here, the acceleration would change, but not the velocity, which is what's happening now. And that's similar to how when I'm accelerating forwards, there's no acceleration. It's only like 0 to 100 immediately. So it's going in the direction that it's pointing, but it doesn't like slow down and speed up. And you can do the same thing in rotation. So we would have the way to do it, I think, is we would do a 1 minus dir. And this is actually acceleration. So it's accelerating by 1% of the rotation every frame maximally. So that we get this. And this is just a lerp, honestly. This is just F32 lerp. And so we need to add to the to this component, the entity position, we need to add also a Q for rotation velocity. So the acceleration we can calculate here as a like float, but then we have the rotation velocity. It needs to be stored. Now, if it's positive or negative, we know the direction that we need to rotate towards. So then we are doing Q for it's hard when I don't have a good intuition on this. I know like this is how you build intuition on it. I'm just saying I am not 100% sure how we do this. We need to calculate, we need to add to the velocity basically based on the acceleration. But we're not doing that with a lerp, are we? We are calculating a new Q4 based on the V3 Z pulse and then we need to add this acceleration to the rotation velocity, which we are doing by multiplying, right? I think we're adding. So again, I'm guessing. I don't really know what I'm doing. I think I'm just like having the negative acceleration in this case. And then I do Q4 mole self position rotation velocity, no, rotation by so we calculate the acceleration, we create we set the velocity, or we add that to the velocity, and then we set the rotation based on that. Now if it's multiplication or addition, I'm not sure. Well, that's no good. So try add. No. The reason why it's not anywhere, it's probably because when I created the entity, I never set the velocity to anything. So that might be the only reason why it's not showing up. Add component, add position, this thing, yeah. Maybe this fixes it. No. Oh no. Let's try multiply again. No. So, any ideas? I guess I can check what is going on here. We are having some maximum rotation acceleration. We're calculating the actual rotation that we want by the difference between 0 and 1. Hmm? Why is it 0? This shouldn't be 0. Oops. Oh. Okay, so we get some actual values here. Mm-hmm. So we have some acceleration, and then what does it? What is this? Hmm. So I asked the Gemini here, how do I add an acceleration? And it's talking about, well, this is not really. Am I adding the acceleration? This is a quaternion. No, this is a float. Why? Don't ever use Python. It is trash. Do it again with F32 and Q4 structs in C. Yeah. So what are you talking about here? I didn't ask for V3. Or wait, is this, what is this omega? Is this the base? Uh, blah, blah, blah. What are we doing? I don't care about this. This is what I have my library for. We're having Q4 acceleration, velocity, orientation, float dt. What is this Q4 mole? This is a lerp. right? It's not a lerp. So why is there a float here? I forget the Hamilton definition. Wikipedia is so bad for math. Like, oh my god. Yeah. This is all like I remember doing this in university. It's so boring. Like it's just a very long thing. So like I've gone through this before. I'm kind of like not paying attention to it. But what is the DT for? Huh? Oh no, aha, this is the like destination. Oh, okay. That makes sense. I thought this was a float for some reason. So you are taking the velocity, multiplying it by the acceleration, and then you normalize it. Okay. So is the problem that I'm not normalizing it? I I I was kind of expecting, maybe completely erroneously, that my multiplications were normalizing also. What is this? Q norm. Not math. H. It's H. Handmade math. Norm Q. And it returns it as well. So V3 rotate Q4. Maybe just put it here. Define Q4 norm. Norm Q. I'm wondering also if this is copying or if I'm modifying the thing. But I'm confused now if I wasn't setting it, why is not showing? Actually, this is all the same code. Mm, let's just look. Oh, so we have the thing back. He's going a little bit crazy. But yeah, I'm a little bit confused why it wasn't working before, because what happened before was that I never set these things, so it should have been the default value. So I should have seen the triangle. Now this might be way too high. Are you rotating towards me or? I see. So I think what's happening now is that, hmm, well, it's rotating the wrong way also, by the way. So right now there's no damping. So now there wouldn't be any damping in space. So like never mind that. But because there's no like friction or anything, it just kind of goes on and on. But I feel like it's rotating around the wrong thing, or like it's targeting the wrong thing. Yeah. Quite possibly. I'm just multiplying it in the wrong order. We have velocity and acceleration. That's something that I was wondering if, because all the quaternion ones are having left and right, or well, here I guess there's left and left. Um, yeah, here, left and right. So what is left and right? I forget if it said something about it. But this is not made to teach you about quaternions. You should already know that, I guess. Left and right are everything. Okay, so like how do I determine? I know that they're not non-commutative. Commutative. I think my order is correct here. Yeah, I don't care about DT right now. A relative rotation. I just want to add the acceleration to the velocity in the same way that you would expect it to. Scaled acceleration. I haven't uh, I haven't added that before, or I haven't added it yet. It's very yeah, sure. Never mind. He's saying velocity equals velocity times acceleration, but this is exactly the same thing. Yeah. I mean, I guess the acceleration itself can be Like I guess now I'm just talking to the AI, but it's because I forget this math. So I'm sorry if it's boring, but there's this direction. Actually, this entire block. I'm treating the rotation increment as an acceleration increment. Should the velocity be in scalar units? Okay. So I guess the velocity doesn't really need to be quaternions. So we can change that. Where is it? Entity? No. It's the component position, right? Component C. Okay. Okay. So we have now the physics are going to be way, way, way easier. We are getting what? This is our target angle. So we are having the target rotation as a quaternion. That is still correct. We get the direction or whatever. Then we have the acceleration. Let's just do acceleration. And then if it's negative, we are doing rotation velocity. Our current V3. So rotate what? Axis is the V30. Oh, V3 Z pos. Acceleration. We are setting the rotation velocity to that. Hmm? And otherwise, this is just negative. Now I need to calculate a Q from a rotation. From what? Add mole div mix lerp slurp. From axis angle, no. Could it be this one? We're having V3 Z pos and the rotation. No? Is it moving at all? I have to use the bathroom. I wanted to get this done, but I don't know if we can do it before the end. So be right back. Okay. So it might just hold on. The speed might just be too small. It looks like it's doing nothing. I want to see. Why is this not working? So because this is 0 and nothing is happening. So it's not really what I want to do. Is there a So the wrong way of doing this, right, would be to do self. But it's still not rotating. So yeah, I don't know what this is doing. Cross and dot. Yeah, I don't really care about that. Direction to rotation. Uh, what? It wants to look away. So yeah, like I was saying before, this is the wrong way of doing this, I feel like. Why is it pushing it away? Right. Okay. I am going to have to brush up on my vector and quaternion math, but I think this is already pretty nice. And you can fly around. And the final thing before we end is just check that it works with Emscripten. Oh, I see. So the first thing, build.bat. And let's use the same warnings. And let's just fix this. Definitions H. Ah. Game H not found. These ones I don't want to use. I want to use this one instead. Here. VA, right. The VA stuff, I couldn't find a good way of including it except for having it here. It's standard arg. Standard arg, yeah. VW printf. Do I even have that? Oh, in here. No. So many variations of these. VW printf. And it has buffer and args. W car. Ah, so this is actually, this needs to be here as well. I like this trick. Unused. Touch ID, I guess it's not used. These ones I can't really change, I think. The callback is defined by Emscripten, I think. It wants it to have like that. Like it's defining this is what you need to put here, the function signature. So I think there's just no way around it. Touch ID. Hey, it works. Woohoo! Although this constantly printing stuff is making it lag. That's the downside of printing rather than rendering. Be much smoother. It's really funny. Like the gameplay can be so stupid and uninteresting, but if you made it yourself, it feels different. Woohoo! All right. So that works. Now we have 61 problems. Ah. Well, I'm not fixing that today. So thank you very much for watching. Where am I typing? Ah, here. Thank you very much for watching. I will push this. And yeah. Until next time.